welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. 3 reviews, 1 impressions vid this week, and we start with a game called The Last Friend. Not gonna lie, this was a weird one. Because doggone tired of your typical brawler or tower defense that is all bark and no bite? Then join Alpha and T1 on a dynamic adventure that has you battling hordes of baddies and bosses on their mission to save all the doggos. Like I said, this is just weird. Whole way down, because it is indeed a combination of brawler, as in, Double Dragon, Final Fight, what have you, and tower defense game. Plants vs. Zombies, Defense Grid, iBomber, and so on and so forth. And it's centered around dogs. That is the, indeed, last friend. Man's best friend and all that. I do want to interview the devs about this, just to find out how this all came together. Because I can definitely say I've never played anything quite like this. At least in this particular combination. How it actually plays, it leans way more towards the brawler side of the equation. It feels like a brawler with light tower defense elements, even though the tower defense elements are actually way deeper than surface level. Because it's what they call lane-based tower defense game. Where...
Like Plants vs. Zombies.
Yes. And it's just that with brawler dynamics to a point. Like, you can't throw barrels. You can eventually throw shields. And you don't find mysterious chicken under objects either, sadly.
Then what's the point even?
Well, the point is to make something that stands out. Once again, if nothing else, this game accomplishes that to a point. I don't know how much this game actually stood out in the marketplace, because it stands out in concept. The look of the game, the sound of the game, feel very, I guess for lack of a better term, typical indie. This game looks like an indie game, it sounds like an indie game. This is nothing bad or anything. I'm just saying, visually, it's very much a part of its package. All the most unique details are in, mashing 2 very disparate genres together and hoping for the best. And the flavor that comes out, I'm trying to think of a proper food analogy, because, somebody would probably be like, is it like ketchup and ice cream? No, it's not 2 tastes that are fun on their own, but if you bring them together, it's just a total fucking disaster. But it's also, on the other hand, it's not chocolate and peanut butter either. 2 tastes that, when coming together, perfectly complement each other as well. I'm thinking like mayonnaise on French fries. It's like, okay, it works, but, either you're of a certain nationality or disposition to pick, and you're it's an interesting novelty, but you're probably going to want more popular, more conventional, more tilting towards that particular experience dishes at the end of the day, if that makes sense. That is to say, the pairing of brawler and tower defense game, it works, but it just never stops being an awkward fit. I especially thought that the tower defense side of things suffered. because this game is very, very actiony. Like, if you're looking for a tower defense game, I'd actually not recommend this game because of how action-focused it is. It's really more of a brawler with tower defense elements introduced into it. And it does try to keep to the tropes, right down to having waves. Like there's a brief rest period. But here's the thing I found. Those were pretty superfluous because it doesn't take a whole lot to strategize here. Especially because this game has been attuned to a controller. Not surprising because, trying to attempt this with a mouse and keyboard probably wouldn't have gone down well.
I mean, maybe with the lane switching being snapped, it probably could be fine.
Possibly, but I can see why they didn't try it. But more to the point, like, the tower defense elements are very simplistic. This is maybe the most simple tower defense game I've ever played. Like, it will get more complicated later on, but it's not like what you unlock at the end of each level, instead of just being like new turrets and new stuff to put on the lanes. Like later on, you'll be able to get traps that'll explode. You will also unlock attributes. Like you'll have more health, or you can recharge the towers by standing near them, or you'll do more damage if you're below a certain amount of health. Perks. But the thing is, those are intertwined with the cannons and such. That is to say, you can pick, 5 tower defense bits and attributes. They share a pool. So, you've got to choose between, tower defense, do you want to play this more as a tower defense, or do you want to play this more as a brawler? And like, at the end of the day, this game just really, really comes across more as a brawler. To the point where there are some levels where they ditch the tower defense stuff entirely and just go pure brawler. Like I said, good idea. Execution is a lot better than I was fearing, but it's not, it's not 100% workable with the trade-offs that they made.
Now, do you lose the round if your avatar person dies, or do they just respawn after a bit?
Respawn, I believe. I never died, but it is like, you can tell that the game that they were most inspired by was Plants vs. Zombies, because what you're trying to protect is your RV. If that gets destroyed, you lose the round.
Yeah.
And the end of round bonuses are a good chunk of that is tied to having your RV not damaged. There's 2 levels to that. You don't fall under a certain percentage, and it doesn't get damaged at all. So, like I said, it does work within the confines of a tower defense game. I just really hesitate to ever call this a tower defense game. It
Right.
feels like the additional bits to make this stand out as a brawler. And, as far as that goal goes, it's accomplished. And as a brawler, it plays fine. Later on, you will unlock special moves, which are strangely junctioned to the right controller. stick. Um, at least that seems strange at first, but once again, this isn't operating on brawler logic. It's operating on being a hybrid of a tower defense game and a brawler. So it wants you to be able to use the special moves quickly. That's the thing about this game. Everything is very quick. Even putting down the turrets and such. That's why I said if you're looking for a tower defense game, you're probably not going to enjoy this because it doesn't have tower defense pacing. Like ever, and I can I will acknowledge that tower defense games get pretty hectic in the rounds, but it's that element of strategy that's not really there. Like, I never felt like I really needed to make sure all I had the right turrets for this occasion, all that, because the main objective seems to be punch your enemies and have the towers as a backup. What about you, Petty? How are you finding this mixture to be?
It's a game. Like, it's definitely one of those where I wish it was better at one or the other, not trying to be both.
That's been the core thesis of my review here. Like, it's a jack of all trades, it's master of none.
Yeah. It's one of those, it's an interesting concept to explore, but the balance is at the point where it just makes both aspects feel bland.
And once again, that was my reading on this concoction. It's like, you wanted Reese's peanut butter cups, you came up with white bread. I shouldn't do these reviews when I'm hungry.
Like, it's not awful. There's some things that could make this more interesting, and if you're interested in like game design, it might be something to like take a look at. Like, especially if you're like stuck in a rut and want to look at something different.
Yeah,
this is different. I'll give it that.
Yeah. And I guess before I close this out, I'll comment a bit about the theming of dogs, and I'm just like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
It works. And I really don't have anything beyond that.
Yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's novel. The dogs pilot the turrets, but that's about it.
Yeah, I suppose it's appropriately weird for such a weird conceptualization in the first place.
And that the dogs talk and not the main character.
Yeah. And like the main character is named Alpha. Get it? Alpha male. Alpha. Alpha of the pack.
Yes. I'm pretty sure everyone who knows the English language got that one.
Well, it's Greek, but putting that aside.
Yeah, fair.
Anyway,
it's all Greek to me.
Yeah. So I suppose my other big caveat comes in the pricing, because this game is pretty expensive if we're doing tower defense pricing. If we're doing brawler pricing, this is a bit more reasonable, but still, the game clocks in at $15, $14.99, which is a bit expensive to give a mild recommendation to.
But there is at least a free demo.
Yes. That would be my advisory opinion here. Go and try we're trying to figure out it's a prologue, but they changed the name of it, First Bite, so it sounds more like a demo now. But but it is a piece of the game,
Yeah.
so you can try before you buy. And I would actually, that is definitely what I would recommend here, given it is $15, at least full price. The game has been out for a few years at this point. So I have seen it on sale for half price. It was really cheap this past Steam sale, like going for $2.24 or something like
It
that.
might go on sale again for the winter sale, but we don't have anything concrete
Yeah.
from the dev on that.
Yeah. It's been a while since we spoke to Skystone, now that I think about it. Anyway, but yeah, a mild recommendation, which is a bit of a shame because this is the game I like to see out of the, really any scene, because it is very original.
It's trying something different.
Yeah. And that should be celebrated. But, execution does matter.
Mm-hmm.
And, delivering a 5 out of 10 in your mixture, it gets the job done, but it's not really going to excite anybody. Now, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well. Anyway, so that'll about do it for The Last Friend. So be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty Fan will be reviewing Sprawl.